On May 1st, 1960, pilot Francis Gary Powers was shot down over Sverdlovsk territory in Russia. The Russians took him into custody.
Oh look, a plane!
Powers' mission was to fly over the USSR and get information. So, he flew all the way from Pakistan over the Aral Sea towards the Bodo military airfield.
In Norway.
In Norway. This flight violated an international law because the US flew over the Soviet Union's restricted airspace.
Powers had parachuted to safety, and Khrushchev revealed on May 7th that he was being held in custody alive in Moscow. He was being held for trial for spying against the USSR.
4 days later, Soviet Prime Minister Khrushchev reported to the higher-ups of the USSR the incident.
Gary Powers wasn't a spy, he was observing weather. Powers admitted to working for the CIA, even though the US said that he was purely observing the weather.
You are a spy!
No, I am not!
Yes, you are!
Maybe a little.
You work for the US!
No, maybe a little.
Boris!
Yes, comrade.
You are not supposed to do that, comrade!
I'm sorry. I work for the US CIA.
The Soviets knew that Powers was a spy and sentenced him to 10 years in prison in Russia, away from the US.
Francis, you're going to jail for 10 years. Dear Turkey, Pakistan, and Norway, we should all be angry and protest the U.S. for violating restricted airspaces and tell them to immediately stop illegal flights over the Soviet territory, apologize for those already made, and punish the persons responsible. Love, Russia. Oh, mailman! Hurry, off with you!
Khrushchev demanded that the US fulfill his demands or they would not participate at the World Summit talks. We're suspending all other flights connected to this incident.
Eisenhower promised to stop all illegal flights, but Russia didn't like that. They wanted all flights stopped.
We'd like to sincerely apologize to the Russians. If they had just agreed to our open skies agreement, by the way, this never would have happened.
The Open Skies Agreement was a bargain that the US wanted to make with the Soviet Union so that the US could fly over the Soviet Union and the Soviets could fly over the US.
Russia rejected that immediately.
On February 10th, 1962, the Soviet spy Rudolf Abel was exchanged for Francis Gary Powers.
Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet. Engage.
And now with the weather, Shintaro Ogawa.
The weather is windy.
Russian spy Rudolf Abel.
You're just news reporting. Now we go visiting
On May 7th, it wasn't on May 7th.